Hi, this is Slosh. Welcome back to Sloshworks Productions' third ever annual hot sauce and craft beer advent calendar. As always, we'll be starting with the Buuz 2016 advent calendar. The light there looks a little bit messed up, but that is okay. We are doing day number 18. Focus. No idea what we've got in here. As always, I try and open it. I can't see the label. Wolf of the Will... My God, it's red. Wolf of the Willows. Wind of the Willows is one of my favourite series of books. Actually, one of my favourite series of books is the Duncan Wood series, and the guy who wrote that ended up writing more stories in the Wind of the Willows universe. And I've not actually read them, but apparently they're pretty good. He's a very good author. The Duncan Wood series is pretty special. Meckins is already asleep up there, so he's probably not going to scare me today. Well, that'd be interesting. Not getting scared by Meckins. So this is Wolf of the Willows XPA, Extra Pale Ale, 330 mils, Ales of Distinction. 100% independent, family owned and handcrafted in Melbourne. Keep in a cool dark place. No light. A Roman naturalist described hops as wild and untamed, twining and choking the willows, taking them down like a wolf destroys its prey. They were named, I'm going to get this wrong, Lupus salictarius, Latin for wolf of the willows. 4.7% alcohol, 330 mils. Let's get this one open and poured. Now, I was supposed to have a special guest on today, but they couldn't make it. So, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to talk about today. I do have some ideas, but I'm not 100% sure. So, we'll get this poured into the big goblet. Getting a bit of head already. I'm actually trying to get a bit ahead on this one. I'm trying to get a bit ahead. Look at that. Not the right glass. Not the right thing. Absolutely fine. Don't mind. Fire. Fire. One day I'll set my face on fire by accident. Get him. Love ya. Alright, this is Wolf of the Willows XPA, Extra Pale. That's actually one of the ones that's been better out of this whole run. It's really bitter. Hoppy. I would have hated this a couple of years ago, but I really quite dig this. This is lovely. It's lovely, jumpers. That's really good. I like that. That's actually really special. This is the sauce I was going to do today, but since my special guest couldn't be here, this is going to wait. This is too exciting to open by myself. I'm kind of glad I don't have to eat it tonight, actually, because it's probably going to hurt. So what could I talk to you about today? Because we're at 3 minutes, we can't just jump straight. I'm just going to keep drinking this. I've got a scotch over here. Apparently, this is a big scotch. It's a double, right? So anyway, you know what? This is going to be going up on the 18th. We've got 2 or 3 days before I'm going to start editing the Christmas special. So if you want to be in it, what I want is use your camera, stick it in your face and go, hi, this is Slosh. I'm from Perth in Western Australia. Tick, tick, tock, it's beer o'clock. And have a drink. And we're going to put them in the Christmas special. We're going to cut it through all the footage because we recorded for almost an hour. And some of that, we're just stopping chairs falling over, and some of that, people who wandered off, and some of that is a little offensive, but I might keep that in. And we also still have three of these bottle openers left. Oh god, the light's awful. If we can get it. There we go. We have 3 of these left, which are going to be signed by me, Buuz, and Space Peanut. And they're going to be, it's going to be like Christmas 2016. There is only 5 of those. There will only ever be 5 of those. And limited collector's edition, $15 personal message me and I will work out that plus shipping. Hopefully we're going to have some shirts soon too. I'll do some of these things a little bit early. Normally I do these at the end. For the jar. So that reminds me. Patreon. We do have our Patreon up and running. We've got 2 patrons at the moment. One at $100 and one at $5. I have 3 different tier reward levels: Sloshworks Gaming, Sloshworks, Sloshy Sources, and Beer O'Clock. Support the one that you want for $5 a month, and we have the $1 jar. We'll be working on some good rewards for you guys and some Patreon only content in the new year. This has not proved to be the month for getting things done. I think Rob's campaign is still running. I'll put a link down below, but I think it might be over. What I really wanted to talk to you about is books. Because books are awesome. I'm going to try and move this up a little bit. It's really distracting because you look at the video, but you know it's just there. So I wanted to talk to you about books. I love books. I used to read 4 or 5 or 6 books a week, especially when I was travelling to work on the bus and the train. And I used to read a lot. And I haven't been doing it as much as I used to. I'm looking at all of these books up there, and there's a lot that I haven't read, and there's a lot I've only read once, because I'm the kind of person who likes to reread things a second time and find the stuff that you missed the first time. But when I was young, there was a series of books by a guy called Lloyd Alexander, The Chronicles of Prydain, and this one called Taran Wanderer. I've always pronounced it as Taran. I don't know if it's Taran, but I'm pretty sure it's Taran. They made a Disney movie of it, The Black Cauldron. Really, really good series of books. But this one in particular, even from a very, very young age, caught my attention. You can see how well read this is. And this book here, I wanted to talk to you about this book, because this book is pretty fucking special. So I'm going to have some scotch and then some beer. I'm going to talk about a book that I read when I was in primary school. Scotch. Beer. Interesting mix. So this series of books I read first in primary school. This is still the actual book I had in primary school. Essentially, this is number 4. And Taran, he's the prophesied one. He's the next king. All of those tropes that fantasy used to use back in the 80s and stuff. When was this actually written? The series of books are The Book of Three, The Black Cauldron, The Castle of Lure, Taran Wanderer, and The High King. This was written in 1967. 1967, and is dedicated for wayfarers still journeying, for wanderers at rest. Copyright Lloyd Alexander, 1967. Now this book caught me in such a way that I still read it every year, and it's kind of like Hobbit level fantasy. It's not that it's not young adult. It's that it was aimed to be read by everybody. I guess. And this dude's name, right? This Fleur de Flamme. His name is Flewddur. Fluda. Love it. He was a bard who was given to teach him patience. He was given a magical harp, a magical lyre that the strings would break every time he lied. It's fucking funny. Anyway, this book is very different to the rest in the series. It's essentially a teenager who's lost and is looking for what they want to be in life, which is, I still don't know what I want to be. Do you know what you want to be? Did you get to be what you want to be? Or is it just work and all that stuff? Ooh, I can hear I can hear the children getting yelled at for not going to bed. It is 9:46. We said that we'd let them have a sleepover in the games room watching TV. I can hear them getting yelled at. Mama Cass is yelling at them. Oh, Phoenix is arcing up. Oh, there's going to be a bit of a fight. We'll see if some of them come running down here in a second. Anyway, this is essentially this book. Turan leaves all of his friends. He goes off by himself. I think Gimli goes with him. Gimli would have to go with him. He'd have to go with him. I can't remember though. But he basically goes off to find himself. You know, that whole thing about finding yourself and all that jazz. And essentially, I thought I heard somebody then. I think we might have company soon. It's fine. Okay, so basically he goes off in search for himself. And if I remember correctly, because it has been a couple of years since I've read it, he's searching for the trade, the thing that feels right to him. And because he feels that there's honor in warfare, you know. There's a lot of stuff happens before, but there's 3 things that he tries to make, and he makes he gets apprenticed to a blacksmith, and he makes a sword, and he gets robbed by a dude, and the dude takes his sword. Okay. And then later on, he gets apprenticed to a blacksmith, and from scratch he makes a sword, and the very first one he makes is beautiful. It is stunning looking. It is perfect. And then to prove that it's going to work, he's got to swing it as hard as he can at the anvil, and it shatters. And the blacksmith looks at him and goes, "Start again." Starts from scratch again, and builds. I think he only builds 2. He could build more, but the second one, well, the last one was ugly and terrible and mottled, and the steel wasn't perfect and all that. And he was just going to throw it away and start again. I think it was the second one he was going to start again, and the blacksmith told him, test it out. Fucking thing rang true, and he turns and says to him, you know, like, you've got what it takes to be a blacksmith. You've got that. You've got the skills. You know, you've just made something. And he says, it doesn't feel right. This isn't what I'm meant to do. So he goes on. And the next place he ends up apprenticing out, I think, is as a weaver. And he does that from scratch, like getting the burrs out of the cotton and weaving it through. And he makes himself a jacket that he thinks, or a coat, or not a sweater, I think it was a coat, that he feels it looks no good. But it's warm, and yeah, it keeps him warm. And, you know, she goes, that's a good start. And you've got the talent to do it if that's what you want to do, and you can stay as my apprentice. I'll teach you everything I know. It doesn't feel right. And then he goes to, and I've always remembered this, it's Anlaw. It's Aanlaw, clay shaper. And he's a potter. And he's working there, and he's making the pottery. And he feels like that's the thing that he wants to do. He feels that it's right, and he feels that it's gonna. That's the thing he was put on the earth for. You know what I mean? You know, he's prophesied to be the king and all that stuff. But anyway, disregard that. And he makes him his cup or bowl or whatever it is, and he looks at all of the beautiful things that, because he's a master craftsman, Anlaw clay shaper, master fucking craftsman. He knows that that's the thing that he wants to do. That's the thing that would make him the happiest in the world. But he also realizes that he doesn't have the skill for it. He could always be good, but he could never be Anlaw clay shaper. He could never He could never achieve what he really wanted, and he realized that he'd always be lacking. So he walks away from that, even though he's realized that that's the thing that would make him the happiest in the whole world. And then, later on he's attacked by the dude who stole his sword, and the sword that was stolen from him, that was given to him by a king, shattered on the ugly thing that he made. And it's just this magical story of growing from a boy to a man, and realizing that you don't necessarily get what you dream of, and you don't necessarily, like, the thing that you want to do, you might be shit at. Might be shit. The thing that you're not interested in might be what you have a natural talent for. And I can't recommend this series of books enough. This one in itself is... I've read this basically every year since 1990. And it's, for a young adult's fiction book, it's still pretty special. I wonder if I can find the bit where he breaks the sword on it. Yeah, Gurgi did go with him, not Gimli. Gurgi. Oh my god, I can't believe I said Gimli so many times. And Lord Clay Shaper. I'm going to read this bit to you. Though Turan feared such a time might never come, it was not long before Anlor judged a vessel, a shallow bowl simple in design yet well proportioned to be ready for firing. He set it, along with other pots and bowls he had crafted for the folk of Commot Izav, into a kiln taller and deeper than Haved's furnace, while Anlor calmly turned to finishing other vessels for the Commot folk. Taran's anxiety grew until he felt that he himself was baking in the flames. But at last, when the firing was done and the pieces had cooled, the potter drew out the bowl and turned it in his hands as Turan waited breathlessly and tapped it with a clay-rimmed finger. He grinned at Turan. It rings true. Beginner's work, Wanderer, but not to be ashamed of. Turan's heart lifted as if he had fashioned a wine bowl handsomer than even Lord Gast had seen, but his joy soon turned to despair. You can come in. You can come in. Okay? I was just reading. I don't know what just happened then. But his joy soon changed to despair. Through autumn, Turan shaped other vessels yet. To his growing dismay, none satisfied him, none matched his hopes, despite the painful toil he poured into his work. What lacked, he cried to Anlor. I could forge a sword well enough and weave a cloak well enough. A cloak? It's a cloak. But now, what I truly long to grasp is beyond my reach. Must the one skill I sought above all be denied me? He burst out in an anguished voice. Is this gift forbidden me? He bowed his head, and his heart froze even as he spoke the words, for he knew within himself he had touched the truth. Anlor did not gainsay him, but only looked at him for a long while with deep sadness. Why? Turan whispered. Why is this so? It is a heavy question, Anlor replied at last. He put a hand on Turan's shoulder. Indeed, no man can answer it. There are those who have laboured all their lives to gain the gift, striving until the end only to find themselves mistaken, and those who had it born in them yet never knew, those who lost heart too soon, those who should never have begun at all. Count yourself lucky, the potter went on, that you have understood this now and not spent your years in vain hope. This much have you learned, and no learning is wasted. What then shall I do? Turan asked. Grief and bitterness such as he had known in Craddock's valley flooded over him. There are more ways to happiness than in the shaping of a pot, replied Anlor. You have been happy in Merrin. You still can be. There is work for you to do. Your help is welcome and valuable to me, as a friend as much as an apprentice. Why, Look you now, he went on in a cheerful tone. Tomorrow I would send my ware to Commot Izav, but a day's journey is long for one of my years. As a friend, will you bear the burden for me? He nodded. I will carry your ware to Izav. And then, of course, he gets killed. Anlor gets killed. Well, he's doing that, but that lesson there, that thing there, that some people will toil their entire lives at something that they think they have to have, and they'll never get there. And some people who have that talent in them never ever find out. It's something I've been thinking about a lot lately. Sounds all really serious, doesn't it? We're talking about books, kids' books. But I think that there has been at the centre of my being since I read it the first time. I think I always wanted to write books. Now I'm leaning towards I want to make children's books. I want to make graphic novels. I want to make movies. I want to make things. I just want to make things. And I think that's what this whole YouTube thing has been about, is I want to make things. I just want to make stuff. I can hear people walking again. Did we have people charge in before? I can see the door there, but I was reading. Shit, 20 minutes sauce. We are going to be doing Melbourne Hot Sauce's Spicy Sanchez, because I'm pretty sure I have not already done this one. Autofocus is not going to be good on this one. Melbourne Hot Sauce is one of my favourite companies. Ingredients: Carolina Reaper. Oh, really? Carolina Reaper, Boot Jalokia, Trinidad Scorpion, Red Habanero, Chipotle, Orange Habanero, White Vinegar, Lemon, Salt, Sugar? Why am I eating this? This is the Melbourne Hot Sauce Company Spicy Sanchez from 2013. Melbourne Hot Sauce and hashtag Burger Love collaboration. Small batch handcrafted hot sauce made in Melbourne, Australia. All natural ingredients with no added preservatives, thickeners, stabilizers, additives, or colorings. Richard Nelson? Whoa! I hit some keys then. Richard Nelson? Yes, Richard Nelson. Haha, I got it right. He makes some amazing stuff. The Chipotle barbecue is Mama Cass's favourite sauce legitimately in the entire world. And I think I've had a bottle of this. I think I have, but I'm not sure. And what I love about Melbourne Hot Sauce is they never put a nipple on there. Nipples are good for one thing. 2 things. 3 things. 4 things. You know what? If I sat here for a while, I could probably think of a lot of things. Oh, shit. I'm kind of glad I'm not eating the other one that I was going to eat if the special guest was here. So let's pour this out. This is Spicy Sanchez. This is a collaboration sauce with... stop, collaborate, and listen. With hashtag Burger Love. And I think there was a special burger that they were doing at that restaurant. It smells just like chilies. Well, on the 18th day of Christmas, Slosh tried Wolf of the Willows XP and Spicy Sanchez from the Melbourne Hot Sauce Company. Up your bum. Got a few chunks of seeds in there. It's got warmth to it. It's growing. Saliva's running. That's 7 on flavour. Did I give a rating to this? 8. 7. Heat, I'm going to go 8 because it's getting quite warm. All right, this is good. If you can get this, get this. That's actually quite warm. Anyway, we're getting on pretty long, so I'm going to go. That's quite warm. Definitely, it's delicious though. You should get that. So as guys, thank you so much for watching. Thanks you so much for listening to me and putting up with my crap, and thanks for letting me talk about this for like 15 minutes. Leave comments down below, leave questions down below. And if you've made it all the way to the end, the dwarves' usual scowl softened. Write that down below. We'll be back tomorrow with another one, and there will be gaming videos coming out tomorrow because they've been recorded. As always, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Advent Calendar for 2016. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace, Chris.